Hey you guys, so it's Kiese and I'm back for another video. So as you can tell from the title of today's video, we are talking all things books. Yes. I am catching you guys up on all the books that I finished in the month of June and all the books that I finished in the month of July. And I'm going to give you a TBR, which is to be read list of what I plan on reading in the month of August. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. All right. So we're going to start up with the wrap up, and I'm just going to combine June and July together because I've read, I think, about 8 or 9 books, so not too many. I try to read a book a week, which will get me on track to reading 52 books for the year. I think I'm going to come out with more than 52 books, but we shall see. We shall see. So the first book I read in the month of June was Odessa. It was a graphic novel about this young lady whose mother decided during this war or this post-apocalyptic world that she couldn't take it anymore, and she just left the kids with their dad. And so Odessa gets to a certain age and she decides to go on a journey to look for her father. And what I remember about this book is that it ended abruptly, and it doesn't seem like there's gonna be a part 2, and I was pissed. Okay, so I gave it 4 stars because I was mad. Okay, all right. The next book I read was A Map to the Sun, another graphic novel. This one was okay. It was 4 stars. It was basically about friendship and the journey through a friendship and loss and love and stuff like that. It was okay. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? Also gave it 4 stars. It was really good. It was just about, you know, how families say you're a certain age, you should be married, you should be working on kids, you should be finding a man, all that type of stuff. So the typical, but it was still a really good book. I enjoyed it. And then the next book I read in June was called Blood Like Magic, which is part 1 of a young adult novel about this young girl who has to kill her first love in order to gain the powers of magic, of witchcraft that runs through her family. So every time you come to a certain age, you have to do this task, and if you pass the task, you'll get your magic. If you don't pass the task, you don't get your magic. But on this instance, she didn't like the first task and she failed. Therefore, they gave her a second chance, but they told her if she does not pass this task, not only will she lose her magic, but everybody in her family in the bloodline would lose their magic forever. So that was part 1 of the book. It was really good. I will read part 2, but I did give it 4 stars. The next book I read was Miss Pearly Girls, which was the first book I read in July. And this book I gave 4 stars. It does need trigger warning. It does have sexual abuse and all that kind of stuff in there. So I will warn you, but it was a really good book. I did enjoy it very much. And then the second book I read in July was The Hookup Dilemma. It was a really funny rom-com. It reminds me of, what do you call it? The Brown Sisters. So like Get Your Life Eva Brown or something like that. Danny Brown, I think, or something like that. What, you know, it's Danny, Eve, and I forgot the other sister's name. It kind of reminded me of that, and it was really good, and I gave it 5 stars. You know, it's very rare I give something 5 stars, so I really enjoyed that and I would recommend it. Then our July book club book of the month was The Paris Apartment, and I gave it 4 stars. It was really good. It was weird, but it was really good. I did enjoy the story. Didn't end up being like I thought it would be, but it was still a very good read, and I didn't have any problem. It wasn't slow. It was very good pace, and I finished it in like a couple of days, so it was really good. And then the last book that I read in the month of July was the Will Smith book. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was really good in the beginning, learning about his life and his story, but it did get a little slow towards the end. I loved all the things that I found out about him and his family and things that had gone on, that you just never know how anybody grows up or what's going on in anybody's household. So it was very intriguing to see how he grew up and why he feels the way he feels and why he does the things that he do. And I completely understand it now that I've read his book. It wouldn't surprise me, things that he do and stuff like that. But I gave it 4 stars because, like I said, towards the end it was a little slow, you know, a little slow. So okay, you guys, so those are all the books I've read in the month of June and July. They were 8 books, so I'm right on track. I've currently read, out of my reading challenge, and you guys can follow me on Goodreads, the link is down below. I've read 37 books this year, and I'm currently on my 38th book. So I'm really good. According to my challenge, I am 7 books ahead. So that means if I read like this on track, I should probably read 59 books, almost 60 books by the end of the year. Unless I get lazy around the holidays, which I tend to do sometimes. I try to read ahead, especially if I'm in a good reading mood. So let's move on to what I plan on reading in the month of August. All right, you guys, so I'm already reading 1 book in the month of August, and this is a special TBR for the month of August. I got all of these books from Alicia. So Alicia had 1 book that I wanted to read, so I went to her house and I was like, hey, let me borrow that book if you're finished reading it. She's like, yeah, cool. The next thing you know, we go down the rabbit hole of all of her books. She's like, oh, you need to read this one, you need to read this one. So I left her house with a stack of books, you guys. So a stack of books to read for the month of August, and I'm not mad at it. So I will most likely be reading, I think I left her house with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. I left her house with 7 books. So I will be reading all 7 of those books for the month of August, and they may spill over into September. I will at least read 4 of these, so if anything carries over, it might be 3 into September, which is completely fine. So the first book that I am reading for the month of August is called Heavy. I do have the physical book, but she doesn't have the cover to it, so I'll pop it up over here. And basically, it is a memoir of a essayist and novelist, Kiese Laymon. Explores what the weight of lifetime of secret lies and deception does to a black body, a black family, and a nation teetering on the brink of moral collapse. He is a fearless writer. In his essays, personal stories combined with piercing intellect to reflect both on the state of American society and his experience with abuse when conjure conflict, feelings of shame, joy, confusion, and humiliation. So far, it is a heavy book. It is very triggering for sexual violence, abuse, and then I think it's set back in, what year is this set in? I don't even know what year it's set in, but it's very, yeah, you're gonna get your mind right if you're gonna read this one. That's all I gotta say. I'm not even that far in, and I just have to put it down sometimes. I'm like, my God, I'm only on page 65 of this book, and there's 235 or so pages, I mean. So very heavy, but it is a really good read, and I am going to finish it this week, even though it's Friday. I should still be finished by Sunday. I'm just going to force myself to continue reading it, and then I'm going to tell you the rest of the books I have here on my bookshelf here in the office. Since this is going to be my little reading nook while I'm in the office, I'll just keep my books in here, and these are in no particular order. So the next book that I have that she gave me is called Memphis by StringFellow. And this is actually going to be our book club book read of the month for the month of August. So that's really good. I don't even have to borrow. So it says, summer of 1995, 10-year-old Joan, her mother, and her younger sister flee her father's explosive temper and seek refuge at her mother's ancestral home in Memphis. This is not the first time violence has altered the course of the family's trajectory. Half a century earlier, Joan's grandfather built this majestic home in the historic black neighborhood of Douglas, only to be lynched days after being the first black homicide detective in the city. Joan tries to settle into her new life, but family secrets cast a longer shadow than any of them expected. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's super long, but that sounds interesting. So this is, like I said, our book club book of the read of the month. So I'll start reading this next, because the next week will be the book club, and I don't want to wait till last minute like I did last month. And then the next book is by Lisa Jewell. It's called The Invisible Girl, and we did read another Lisa Jewell book for my book club. It was called Then She Was Gone. So this is another book by that same author, and I did enjoy that book as well. It says, Safri Maddox spent 3 years under the care of renowned child psychologist Ron Forrest. When Dr. Forrest decides their session should end, she feels abandoned and begins following him around his neighborhood, learning more than she ever wanted to know about Rowan and his deceptively perfect family life. On a chilly Valentine's night, Safari will disappear, taking any secrets she learned with her, and Owen Pick must have been the last person to see her. The Fords have always had a bad feeling about their neighbor Owen. He is a bit creepy, and their teenage daughter swears he followed her home from the train station one night. Could Owen be responsible? What happened to the beautiful missing Safari, and did her disappear and truly connect them all. So that sounds interesting. I'm sure I'm saying this girl's name wrong. I'll put it across the screen so you guys can tell. Safri? I call her Safri. We can call her S. I don't know. But that sounds interesting. And then the next book is a thriller. It's by Natasha Preston. It's called The Cellar. And this one sounds really, really interesting. My stomach dropped as a tall, dark-haired man stepped into view. He has been hiding between the trees. No, sorry, gulping. I take a step back. I'm not Lily. He shakes his head, a satisfied grin on his face. No, you are Lily. I'm Summer. You have the wrong person, you utter freak. I could hear my pulse crashing in my ears. How stupid to give him my real name. He continued to stare at me, smiling. It made me feel sick. You are Lily, he repeated. Before I could blink, he threw his arms forward and grabbed me. I tried to shout, but he clasped his hand over my mouth, muffling my screams. My heart raced. I'm going to die. For months, Summer is trapped in a cellar with the man who took her and 3 other girls, Rose, Poppy, and Violet. His perfect, pure flowers, his family, but flowers can't survive long cut out from the sun, and time is running out. That sounds super, super good. It reminds me of this movie, The Girl in the Basement. If y'all ain't seen that, it's actually a true story, very scary true story, but it was a true story. That was a really good movie. It sort of reminds me of that. Then the next book is by Randi Pink called Angel of Greenwood, and it looks like this. And this one says 17-year-old Isaiah Wilson is on the surface a town troublemaker, but he hides the fact that he is an avid reader and poet who never leaves home without his journal. A passionate follower of W.E.B. Du Bois, he believes that black people should rise up to claim their place as equals. 17-year-old Angel is a loner, mostly discarded by her peers as a goody-goody, but believed by adults in her community for her sweet and generous heart. Though they've attended the same school, Isaiah never noticed Angel as anything but a quiet, Bible-toting church girl. Then he sees her perform a dance at the church service and finally connects with her brave, free-spirited beauty. When their English teacher offers them a job on their mobile library, a 3-wheeled, 2-seater bike, Isaiah is eager to be in such a close quarters with Angel every afternoon. But life changes on May 31st when a vicious white mob storms the community of Greenwood. Only then does Isaiah, Angel, and their peers realize who their real enemies are. Set in the Black Wall Street of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Randi Pink's novel brings to life a story of tragedy and triumph. Sounds really, really good, right? The next one is What the Fireflies Knew by Kai Harris. Looks like this. And this one says, an ode to black girlhood and adolescence as seen through KB eyes, where the Fireflies Knew follows KB after her father dies of an overdose and the debts incurred from his addiction caused the loss of the family home in Detroit. Soon thereafter, KB and her teenage sister Nye are sent by their overwhelmed mom to live with their estranged father in Michigan. Over the course of a single sweltering summer, KB attempts to navigate a world that has turned upside down. Her father has been labeled a fiend. Her mother's smiles no longer reaches her eyes. Her sister, once her best friend, now feels like a stranger. Her grandfather is grumpy and silent. The white kids who live across the street are friendly, but only sometimes. And they're all keeping secrets. As KB vacillates between resentment, abandonment, and loneliness, she is forced to carve out a different identity of herself and find her own voice. Sounds really, really good. I got some good books. At least you got some good books, y'all. I might have to go back to her house and see what else she got. And then, of course, this is the one book that I wanted to borrow from her because everybody has talked about this book and I have wanted to read it because they swear by it. So I wanted to check it out. It's called Verity by Colleen Hoover. Of course, I'm sure y'all have seen it everywhere. On TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere, okay? Lowen Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of a financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. Lowen arrives at the Crawford home ready to sort through years of Verity notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started. What Lowen doesn't expect to uncover is the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night her family was forever altered. Lowen decides to keep the manuscript hidden from Jerry, knowing its contents could devastate the already grieving father. But as Lowen's feelings for Jerry begins to intensify, she recognizes all the ways she could benefit if he were to read his wife's words. After all, no matter how devoted Jeremy is to his injured wife, a truth this horrifying could make it impossible for him to continue to love her. A standalone romantic thriller. Sounds good. She about to get in trouble though. This shit about to be real right here. That does sound good. I think this might, y'all might be right about this one, y'all. I thought y'all like, man, this probably ain't no good. This shit sound good as hell, okay? I have to let y'all know. I'm definitely gonna read that one this month, for sure. But those are all the books that I want to read in the month of August. My beautiful stack right here. My stack. So this is what I want to read. Try to get to at least 4 books in the month of August. If I get to more, that'd be even better. But this is my stack for the month of August. So let me know in the comments below what you guys are reading in the month of August. Also, if you're in my Facebook group, then I have a poll in my Facebook group of the books, these list of books. Which one do you guys want to read together? So you guys get to pick one of the books that I read for the month of August, and it's gonna be one of these books out of this stack. I think I only picked 5, and so you guys get to pick one book, and we will read it together, and we'll have a live show at the end of the month in my Facebook group. So if you follow me in my Facebook group, you can do that. If you want to follow me in my Facebook group, I have a link down below, and you guys have been asking me to have a little book club in there, so I decided to try it out for the month of August and see how it goes. So if you would like to join in, click the link in the description and ask to join, and I'll accept you, and we can read this book together and talk about it at the end of the month. And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy reading. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.